Imagine standing on the deck of a wooden warship in the year 678 AD. Enemy ships are closing in, and suddenly, a bronze dragon head at the front of a Byzantine vessel roars to life. A jet of sticky, glowing liquid shoots 40 feet through the air, crashing onto your wooden deck. Panic sets in. You grab a bucket, scoop up seawater, and splash it directly onto the flames. But the fire doesn't go out. Instead, the water causes the flames to violently explode. The fiery liquid floats right on top of the ocean, spreading across the waves and turning the water itself into a burning trap. This was Greek fire, the ancient world's superweapon. It was so terrifying and effective that it protected the Byzantine Empire for over 7 centuries. But the emperors guarded the recipe with their lives. Sharing the formula with a foreigner was punishable by death. As a result, when the empire eventually fell, the secret vanished from the earth. Historians have debated the formula for hundreds of years. But what if you decided to stop reading about it in history books and actually recreated it today? Could a modern builder reverse engineer a chemical weapon lost to time? Or would you accidentally blow up your own backyard? To pull this off, you can't just throw flammable stuff into a bucket. You have to become a chemical detective, a mechanical engineer, and a high-stakes survival strategist all at once. Your mission begins in a workshop with a blank notebook. You don't have an exact recipe, but you do have ancient eyewitness accounts. Witnesses wrote that Greek fire smelled like sulfur and tar, stuck like glue to wooden hulls, roared like thunder when fired, and burned brighter when touched by water. So, what is the base liquid? If you use simple gasoline, it burns fast and evaporates almost instantly. Gasoline won't stick to a moving enemy ship. You need something thicker and nastier. You turn to naphtha, a light, naturally occurring crude petroleum. In ancient times, thick black oil seeped out of the ground around the Black Sea. Crude oil floats on water and burns at scorching temperatures. Naphtha gives you the liquid base, but it is still too runny. If you spray raw crude oil at a target, it splashes off and drips harmlessly into the sea. Therefore, you need a medieval thickener. You heat up tree resin and pine pitch, sticky, gooey sap collected from pine trees. When you stir melted resin into your warm naphtha, the liquid changes texture. It turns into a thick, honey-like syrup. Now, when it hits a surface, it clings tightly and refuses to slide off. You have created a sticky, flammable liquid, but you still haven't solved the biggest mystery of all. Why did Greek fire burn on water? And why did water make the fire worse? Standard oil floats on water, but water can still smother the oxygen or cool the oil down enough to extinguish it. You need a secret spark ingredient. Therefore, you turn to a mysterious white powder used by ancient builders, quicklime, calcium oxide. Quicklime is made by baking limestone in a super hot furnace. When quicklime touches water, an intense chemical reaction occurs. It generates blinding heat almost instantly, reaching temperatures over 300 degrees. When you mix fine quicklime powder and sulfur into your sticky oil, something magical and terrifying happens. The moment your mixture hits seawater, the quicklime reacts violently with the moisture, releasing rapid heat and boiling the oil from the inside out. The heat ignites the petroleum vapors automatically. Water doesn't put the fire out. Water is the very key that turns the weapon on. You have unlocked the chemical cocktail, but now you face an even bigger problem. Having a dangerous, water-igniting goo sitting in a pot is useless in a naval battle. If you try to scoop it up with a bucket and throw it, the wind will blow it right back onto your own face. You need a way to launch it at enemy ships from a safe distance. Ancient texts reveal that the Byzantines didn't throw Greek fire. They sprayed it through bronze tubes called siphons. You are looking at the world's very first pressurized flamethrower. How do you build a pressurized sprayer without electricity, gas engines, or air compressors? You have to recreate 7th century technology using copper, bronze, wood, and leather. First, you build a heavy bronze pressure tank to hold your sticky chemical mixture. Next, you attach a hand-operated force pump, a leather-sealed piston inside a metal cylinder, similar to a heavy-duty bicycle pump. As your team pumps the handle up and down, air is forced into the sealed tank, building up intense pressure inside. But cold petroleum syrup is too thick to spray smoothly through a narrow pipe. It will clog the nozzle and stall your machine. Therefore, you build a small brazier, a metal firebox, directly underneath the bronze tank. By lighting a small fire under the reservoir, you heat the mixture right before battle. The heat thins out the liquid, turns part of the petroleum into pressurized vapor, and makes the fluid ready to shoot. This raises a terrifying question. If you are heating a sealed metal container full of pressurized crude oil and quicklime over an open flame, aren't you standing right next to a giant bomb? Yes, absolutely. One cracked seam in your bronze pipe or one careless mistake by your pump crew, and the entire rig will explode, engulfing your ship in liquid fire. This explains why the Byzantines didn't let just anyone use this weapon. They created an elite secret unit of soldiers called siphonarioi who were specially trained to operate the pumps under intense pressure without panicking. It is time for the ultimate test. You set up a mock wooden warship hull out on a lake. Your bronze siphon is mounted to the front of your test boat, fitted with a hand-carved bronze nozzle shaped like a snarling dragon head. Your heart is pounding. You wear heavy protective gear, raise your tools, and begin the process. Step 1. The heat. You light the brazier beneath the sealed bronze tank. You watch the temperature gauge rise as the sticky green-black mixture inside begins to warm up and expand. Step 2. The pressure. Your team works the manual force pump, up and down, up and down. The pressure gauge climbs. Air gets packed tightly inside the bronze cylinder. Step 3. The ignition. You light a small torch attached right in front of the dragonhead nozzle. Step 4. Fire. You pull the bronze lever valve open. Whoosh! A deafening roar fills the air, sounding like a jet engine mixed with thunder. A brilliant 40-foot stream of glowing liquid fire shoots across the water. The stream cuts through the air and slams violently onto the wooden target raft. The thick resin holds the flaming goo tightly against the wooden planks. Within seconds, the target is engulfed in a thick black cloud of smoke and roaring orange flames. Now comes the critical moment. You take a high-pressure water hose and spray a heavy stream of water directly onto the burning target. If this were a normal fire, the water would cool it down and put it out. But this isn't a normal fire. The moment the water hits the target, a violent crack echoes across the lake. A burst of new flames shoots 10 feet into the air. Because water is heavier than oil, the sprayed water sinks right beneath the burning liquid layer. The intense heat boils the water instantly, turning it to steam and blasting burning droplets of sticky oil in every direction. Meanwhile, the quicklime reacts with the excess water, generating even more heat. Burning oil spreads across the lake's surface, floating on top of the water and turning the surrounding bay into a ring of fire. Water didn't save the ship. Water made the inferno bigger. As you watch the target raft burn down to the waterline, you realize why ancient soldiers thought Greek fire was dark magic. In a medieval world built around wooden ships and open seas, a weapon that turns your main defense, seawater, into fuel is the ultimate nightmare. This leaves one final mystery. Was Greek fire completely unstoppable? Did ancient enemies just have to sit there and burn? Ancient combat manuals reveal that enemy commanders eventually discovered a few bizarre ways to smother it. You couldn't use water, but you could use sand. Dumping tons of heavy sand onto the flames suffocates the fire by cutting off its oxygen supply. Another countermeasure was strong vinegar. The acid in vinegar chemically neutralizes the alkaline quicklime, stopping the heat reaction and helping break down the sticky petroleum bonds. Finally, ancient sailors kept barrels of old urine on deck. The ammonia in aged urine helped break down the chemical slick and smother the flames. But in the middle of a chaotic, smoky naval battle, dumping sand or vinegar onto a rapidly spreading liquid fire was nearly impossible. By the time you grabbed a bucket of sand, your ship was already lost. By rebuilding Greek fire step by step, you learn that its true power wasn't just a secret chemical recipe. It was a total engineering system, combining petroleum chemistry, bronze pressure pumps, specialized heating systems, and brave crews. The Byzantines guarded their secrets so well that when their civilization faded, the knowledge dissolved into history. But standing by the lake, watching flames burn brightly on top of cold water, you realize something amazing. The terrifying science of ancient liquid fire never really vanished. It was just waiting for someone curious enough to put the pieces back together.